Let me ask you about that, because 9/11, obviously, the tragedy here with the attack, and they were Islamic extremists. Nobody wants to call it that, but that's exactly what it was. You came from Iran. That was your background. You were born in a Muslim household, not really practicing. You were there during the revolution.
I was.
So then the 9/11 events happened.
That happened.
And what happens to you?
The moment that happened, before that, me and some other Iranians were writing about Islam, and then we were being bombarded by hate mails. And right after 9/11, and things just like people started looking at us totally differently. It says, wow, you were telling us, we never listened.
What were you saying? And this was before 9/11. You were already writing about the radical nature of Islam. What were you saying?
I was saying exactly because I have been experiencing it, my fellow countrymen in Iran, by the Islamic regime in Iran. I would say Sharia law is there to dominate. Not only Iran now, because Ayatollah Khomeini said the first thing, the revolution will not stop in Iran. It will go around the world. Is it world domination then? Is part of the goal of Islam? This is exactly what they're trying to do. And then the petrodollar is paying for it. From the Shia extremism to Sunni Wahhabism, which is Saudi Arabia. These two are competing to dominate the world by Islam. And there's no stopping. And there is so much money is invested in this, in the schools, in the universities, in these colleges, and all the, as you can tell, everywhere. And then, of course, they do not like us apostates because our life is in danger in leaving Islam because they want to have the soldiers working for them. And they basically have conquered Europe. And America is the last land that we're trying really heavily investing in and they have really found the key point in the United States. They think they have to go ahead and change America culturally. So that's why they're sending imams. That's why from the year 2000, 1,200 mosques, now we're nearly up to 6,000 mosques.
So we've gone from 1,200 mosques in the United States
to nearly 6,000.
To almost 6,000.
I mean, there's some of the mosques that are very tiny and small, could be held in someone's house or someone's shop in New York.
Some of them are gigantic.
So exactly. Some of them are gigantic. And the thing is, it's okay for the Muslims to come over here, taking advantage of our liberty, a constitution, and make it a mosque. But if you go to make the mosque or a synagogue in Saudi Arabia, is immediate death. There is not a single church, a single synagogue in Saudi Arabia at all. So they are spending millions of dollars of our oil money. That will send it to them, and they come back here and turn it against us.
So you started talking about this right before 9/11, about the radical nature of Islam and what the world domination was going to be. The UN has been dealing with this issue, this defamation of religion issue, which is this idea that if you speak out against Islam, basically you're violating, international law. How serious is this threat from Islam to not only dominate the culture, to dominate politics, but also to silence religious opposition? In other words, whether it's the proclamation of the gospel, whether it's another religious message, how opposed to that is the Islamic world?
The Islamic world is supporting they think it's a hate crime. They even talk about Islam in this.
Right.
They're spending billions. They have so much money, and people like us who have absolutely nothing. We're just simple human beings. We're trying to save lives. We're trying to save our lives because we left Islam because we found out the truth about Islam. And they have all this money, and they're trying to come back.
When you said you found out the truth about Islam, what was that truth that got you to this point where you're at today?
Before, as far as myself are concerned, before the invasion of the Ayatollah Khomeini in my peaceful country, we really had no idea what Islam was. The 70 million people of Iran now had no idea about Islam. After the revolution of Khomeini, with his Sharia law, of his jurisprudence, of Vilayat al-Faqih, and to impose that on every waking moment of a life of a person, so we got to know, so what is going on? I mean, we were
does it complete, when the country became radicalized in Iran, does Islam then dominate the entire person's being?
Absolutely.
I mean, every aspect of their life?
Especially for the first 10 years when Khomeini was alive, it was unbelievable. The vice woman, the people, you used to go there watching you at work if you're not praying.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible. Right now they went through some transition under the Khatami. A minor little reform happened, and people were a little breathing room. And right after that, again, this Ahmadinejad guy came over here. The whole process, let me put this in a nutshell, the whole process is they need to have a nuclear bomb They need to have this nuclear bomb to feel invincible so they can do the domination.
That's why Iran wants the bomb.
That's exactly right, because they want to, as they've been, you can see with the New Revolution and Green Movement, they're going to put them down, and then after the next will be the entire region. Now they feel...
Is there any doubt in your mind, I want to go back to the bomb issue because that's been in the news a lot lately. Is there any doubt in your mind that Iran desires a nuclear weapon and they desire it for an evil purpose, obviously?
Absolutely 100%, without a shadow of doubt.
No doubt?
No doubt.
So you leave Islam, you write about it. You've now worked with forming the former Muslims United organization. What is the purpose, in your view, of this organization?
It's a civil rights movement. We're here to protect the lives of apostates. First of all, we have to protect our lives. We have sent letters to at least 111 organizations here to sign the pledge,
declaration
of freedom, and then the life of apostates. Because in Islam,
define for us, if you will, Emil, what an apostate is. Is that anybody that leaves Islam?
Anybody who leaves Islam automatically, according to it's part of the Quran and also in Hadith. You leave Islam, you get your blood is kosher. Although there are different schools of thoughts. Like different Ayatollah Montazeri is a little moderate. Khomeini was a little bit harder.
So if you leave, if you as a male leave Islam, according to the 4 schools of Sunni Islam law, it's immediately you're an apostate, and the sentence is you must be executed.
It is actually if they abide by the Hadith and Quran, yes.
Did you feel like this was something you had to do though?
I said if I don't do it, who will? I mean, I started before 9/11. I knew this is going to happen because I was exposed and I was looking in Islamic Republic in Iran, and I knew, I said, oh my God, Americans have no clue what is coming to them. They have absolutely no clue. And I think still they have no clue, although since these past 10 years they've been educated about Islam. Yeah. But they still have no clue. The majority of Americans are wonderful, but they just don't have idea.
Well, that's one of the things we're trying to do here is to educate them. We appreciate your insight on this and appreciate you taking the dangerous and difficult step of being public about this. And thanks for your foresight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
You know, there's not a lot for me to add to what you just heard because the reality is, and you see it firsthand here, this is a global struggle. Now, fortunately, at the American Center for Law and Justice and our global resources, we've activated our offices in Africa. We've activated our offices in Jerusalem. We've activated our offices in Moscow, in Strasbourg, France, in New York at the UN, and, of course, right here in Washington, D.C. But we need to send a very strong and direct message to the United Nations that the Organization of the Islamic Conference should not be allowed to make criminal the proclamation of the gospel, which is what the OIC is trying to do right now with their defamation of religion resolution. So here's what I need every one of you to do that are listening to the broadcast right now on radio or hearing us on television or seeing us on television. You go to your phones right now and you call this number, 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, and you add your name to that petition, yes, going to the United Nations to say we are not going to tolerate this attempt to criminalize the proclamation of the gospel in the Islamic world. That would be outrageous. It violates international law, and it's nothing we should tolerate. And certainly the UN should not be passing these kind of resolutions. You need to stand up for the people that you've heard from in this broadcast today. Again, that number is 1-877-989-2255. That's 877-989-2255. By the way, when you call that number, you get that, sign on to the petition. I'm going to send you our DVD covering this issue called Unshaken. It's something you're going to want to have in your library, and that'll be our gift to you. Again, 877-989-2255 or aclj.org. That's going to do it for the broadcast this week. We'll see you next week. We have a very special offer for all of our friends watching this special broadcast from the American Center for Law and Justice, our Special Operations Unit, which has been operating throughout the world on a variety of issues, many of which we cannot talk about on air. But this particular one, we put together a very special DVD special on faith and hope in the Middle East. It covers tremendous interviews with the Prime Minister of Israel, the President of Israel, a number of government officials. We've got a great DVD for you, and we want to get it to you absolutely free. Here is the number to get the DVD that we've got available. It's 1 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255. Now, this was shot on location in Israel, at the Gaza Strip, in Ashkelon, in Sderot. These were the communities and towns that were under attack. But then we have the message of hope, seeing a woman, a Christian woman and her family be able to leave Gaza under protection. And her husband, of course, was assassinated just a year before. Again, it's available for you. The number is 877-989-2255 to understand the Middle East.